Hello, everyone. I'm just going to go over very quickly my advocacy project here. I did mine on the healthcare or the disparities in the healthcare community. So I'm just going to go over that really quickly. If I could start this correctly. Okay, so healthcare in the LGBTQIA+ community. Adequate healthcare is a necessity and a right, and each person should be receiving adequate healthcare regardless of race, gender, sexuality, religion, or any other identifying characteristics. Over the last few decades, members of the LGBTQ community have lacked access to adequate means of healthcare, which have had a spike in suicide rates, a decline in mental health, and just overall a declining healthcare system. In 2017, 70% of members of the LGBTQ community reported facing discrimination that harmed their physiological and mental well-being. And it's very cause and effect. If your basic needs aren't being met, your healthcare needs aren't being met, and especially being a member of the LGBTQ plus community, it's probably because of some type of discrimination because of gender or sexuality. And the Center for American Progress actually reported that 37% of LGBTQ plus people have been denied healthcare services based solely on their gender identity or sexuality. So that's pretty straightforward. We have a serious problem in the United States with healthcare in regards to marginalized communities. Of course, the importance of adequate healthcare. Healthcare is a human right. No matter who you are, what you do, what you believe in, it is a human right, and everyone deserves to have access to adequate and efficient healthcare. And it's just an essential part of your overall well-being for people, especially in marginalized communities who are not receiving adequate or efficient healthcare. In a research article that I actually read to do some of my research papers, discuss the importance of working with these communities to provide safe and adequate healthcare, to promote healthy lifestyles, and also to promote that pursuit of happiness. Right? We all have the right and the means to live a adequate and healthy lifestyle, regardless of any identifying characteristics, and that is no less important for or true for LGBT plus people. And, a lot of times we see that this lack of adequate healthcare is attributed to social stigmas attached to the LGBT community. That LGBTQ plus people are less worthy or discredited or invalid than in comparison to those of their counterparts who are homosexual. The implications of these disparities, like I previously mentioned, 40% of LGBTQ plus people attempt suicides and are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their heterosexual counterparts. That is a massive amount of suicide attempts each year, and a lot of those can be decreased by simply treating these people as if they are humans and that in the way that they deserve to be treated, but also providing them with a means to have adequate health care, mental health care, any kind of health care that they need in their life to help meet their basic needs. In 2013, 34% of LGBTQ plus people were uninsured. That is an extremely high amount for people to be uninsured, especially for marginalized communities, which means their basic needs, again, are not being met, which in turn equal decreased lifespans, poverty, just all of these different kind of things. And as we can see in our healthcare field and our medical schools and any kind of healthcare and medical provider, that there is an ongoing and historical discrimination in the medical field by medical providers, which in turn, again, lead to a declining in mental health issues and overall well-being, physiological, psychological, mental, emotional, spiritual. All aspects of well-being are affected by these disparities in healthcare. In terms of my advocacy strategy, I chose to do a correspondence letter to the legislators in my state. I chose this because they are most common and most accessible to myself, to other constituents in the community, as well as to the legislators that I am writing to. And the thing is that their email addresses are publicly shared, so I can write a letter, you could write a letter, anyone has the means to write these people letters and make an impact. The other thing is that this is similar to a testimony and can be extremely personal, which adds, that humanity factor to the legislation to remind that, we are people, we are here, we matter, and all of those important things. My correspondence letter specifically, I wrote to our Maryland senators, and I kind of went over the history of LGBTQ plus in our state, and I kind of just thanked our legislators for their forward and inclusive policies. The state of Maryland has been known to kind of have more progressive and forward thinking. We are one of the first states to legalize same-sex marriage and all of these other kind of things. And most recently in 2020, Council Member Evan Ross created the LGBTQ plus Bill of Rights, which was extremely effective and helped diminish discriminatory policies and things like that. So I did speak about that, and I commended them on their fast and progressive thinking. And then, of course, I talked about, regardless of how far we have come, there are still things that could be better. And I kind of just made some recommendations on how to continue with the fast forward thinking and inclusive LGBTQ plus healthcare. I will attach my letter that I wrote. But overall, I believe that healthcare is a human right and that all people deserve healthcare, and that the United States in general has a lot of disparities when it comes to their healthcare and dealing with people from marginalized communities. And it is our job as social workers to make sure that we are advocating for these people and influencing policies that make a difference in our communities. So I can't wait to listen and look forward to everyone else's letters, and this is mine.